Conversations I Wish Jesus Had with Me. Episode 1. Why Didn't They Understand Me? I've always felt like I was walking some kind of side trail. Not the main road, not the paved one. The one in the dirt, uphill, quiet, sometimes overgrown. And not because I was trying to be different. I didn't want to be the odd one out. But it's like something inside me just wouldn't let me go with the flow. Groupthink made my skin itch. I'd never been able to say, that's fine, when it's clearly not. I'd sit in rooms full of people nodding and somehow be the only one going, are we really going to let that slide? I've been that girl. The one who asks the questions no one else wanted to ask. The one who points out the elephant. The one who shows up with a solution 5 years too early. And over time, that gets you labeled rebellious, emotional, difficult. But the truth is, I wasn't trying to be difficult. I was trying to be honest. I was obeying that voice inside, the one that nudged me, even when it meant standing alone. I used to joke I was the Joan of Arc of every job I worked at. I'd speak up for the quiet ones, raise concern no one wanted to deal with. I'd bring the truth into a meeting without ever exposing the one who asked me to say it. It wasn't about the drama. It was about doing the right thing. And when I was a supervisor, the owner once told me,
Listen, when she speaks, I know it's for a reason.
because she doesn't stand up for no reason. And still, it was lonely. Being the one who speaks first, it's never easy. People love a harvest. They love a bouquet. But a seed planter works in dirt. They dig deep. They get messy. And they walk away before anything pretty has ever even grown. That's what I've done most of my life. I plant. And I leave before they even know it was me. But you know what hurts? It's not the walking away. It's the fact that so often I've whispered the same words. Jesus, why didn't they understand me?
They didn't understand you because I didn't assign them the job of recognizing your calling. That was never their responsibility. You weren't sent to be understood. You were sent to obey. The reason it felt lonely is because you weren't built to follow their footsteps. You were built to walk ahead of them, to speak what I whispered, even when no one else heard it. When you stepped into those rooms and said what no one wanted to say, I was right there beside you. And when they gave you side eyes and silence, I saw that too. They called you rebellious. I called you a line. You thought you were being too much. You were just being early. Early to truth, early to conviction, early to move with God. And that's the thing about being ahead of the curve. The crowd doesn't cheer until the fruit grows, but I've always seen the seed. I didn't ask you to be soft-spoken. I didn't ask you to blend in. I asked you to burn bright. I gave you that fire on purpose, and I watched you carry it with dignity. And when it scorched the bridges behind you, you didn't speak to stir drama. You spoke because your silence would have been a betrayal. And I know it felt like no one ever said thank you, like no one saw you plant, protect, or walk away quietly. But I did. I saw every word you swallowed, every time you stood up, every time you sat back down and let me speak through your silence. And do you really want to know why they didn't understand you? Because they weren't the ones I told. You heard me, and that was enough.
If I was right, if I was doing the thing you told me to do, why did I feel so alone? Why did it feel like I was the only one awake in a sleeping world? Why did I sit in the parking lot after work and cry in the driver's seat, praying to you with no idea if you were even listening?
Because some callings are clarified in silence. The reason you felt so alone is because the room wasn't equipped to hold you. Not because you were wrong, not because I left, but because I was preserving you from voices that couldn't speak to your anointing. You've mistaken silence for abandonment. But I never left the room. I just sat in the corner, quietly, watching to see if you'd keep going, even when no one clapped, even when the costs felt bigger than the outcome. You did. You didn't just obey. You obeyed in the dark.
Oh, yeah, but it hurt. It still hurts. Sometimes I wonder if anyone will ever see what I gave up, what I carried, or what I buried just to keep the peace.
I saw it every time you wanted to scream, but chose to pray. Every time you left the meeting room, not with revenge, but with compassion, even when it wasn't returned. I saw the way your hands shook before you spoke. I saw how you folded them in prayer after they ignored you. You were never invisible to me. You were never without me. You've never walked into a room I wasn't already in first.
Wow, Jesus, you know the journey I have been on to find you, and you have been here all along. I hope you're ready because I have a lot more questions for you after this conversation.
I saw when no one understood you, but I held every word they didn't receive. I caught every tear you didn't cry out loud. I sat beside you in the passenger seat. I walked behind you through that hallway. I lit the candle before you ever entered the room. You were abandoned. You were guarded. I didn't leave you lonely. I left you set apart. And when you sat there asking, was it worth it? I was already building the fruit you didn't see yet.
Sometimes I still wonder, did it even matter? The things I said, the things I gave up, the things I fought so hard for, the seeds I planted and walked away from, did they even grow? Because nobody ever came back and said, hey, guess what you did? That changed everything, except for maybe a few of my little seedlings.
Those few seedlings, they mean everything. But not everyone was supposed to understand it. Some fruit doesn't grow in your lifetime. Some seeds blossom in generations. You didn't plant for applause. You planted for eternity. You'll never know who started speaking up because they saw your courage. Who healed because you said the hard thing first. Who finally felt seen because you were bold enough to be misunderstood. You walked out of the room thinking no one heard you, but someone stayed behind and picked up every word you dropped.
I like that. That thing that you said. They picked up every word I dropped. So you're telling me it wasn't wasted? None of it?
Listen, nothing you do in obedience is wasted. Not the words, not the wounds, not the waiting. The harvest doesn't always grow in the hands of the sower, but you were never just a voice. You are a sower of wake-up calls. You weren't loud. You were strategic. You didn't disrupt. You tilled the ground.
My mind still spirals about it, though. It still hurts. I feel like they never saw what I did to help, almost like I was more of a burden.
And look, even after all that time, you still planted. You still spoke. You still walked away. Not because you were defeated, but because you knew your job was to obey, not to be admired. You won't see every flower bloom, but when you get to heaven, you'll be standing in the garden.
So I know I want to see this garden. I feel I have dropped a lot of seeds that are being sown and a lot of good plants and a lot of good fruit. But Jesus, what do you suggest I do now? Just hang out?
You keep walking. You keep planting. You keep speaking what I give you, not what they want to hear. You've been asking for permission from people I never gave authority over your voice. You aren't sent to be approved. You were sent to be appointed. And if you're wondering why that weight feels heavier now, it's because your assignment just leveled up. You are not just someone with a voice. You're someone with a message, a story, a pattern breaker, a seed sower, a generation shifter. You walked through all that pain so you could walk others out of theirs.
Then continue to use me again, Lord. If you're still calling, I'm still showing up. Even if I walk alone, even if I don't get applause, even if no one ever says thank you, I'll still go, I'll still speak, I'll still plant.
You never walked alone. You just walked ahead. And now they're watching. They're listening. So go ahead. Be loud. Be light. Be led.
This was a conversation I wish Jesus had with me. And maybe he just had it with you too. You are not too much. You are not too early. You are not too bold. You were just built to break the silence. So let's go, bestie. We've got seeds to plant.